So Joi Johnson with JJ Waste and Recycling, no
JJ's.
correlation.
Correct.
Crazy.
Just an amazing coincidence.
Was that like, was it something that you saw ahead of time and you were like, maybe this is a sign, or just?
Not until I got the interview with the company, and I made sure to tell it to the Aussie that interviewed me.
Just pure serendipity.
I know.
Unbelievable.
The universe made it happen, really.
I love that. Well, that's typically when things go the best, right? So
For sure.
you signed on with them. Waste. Tell me a little bit about what it is that the business does, first of all.
Okay.
And then from there, how did you connect with them and everything?
So they found me on LinkedIn, which is super cool. Asked me for an interview, and I was like, I don't know, the trash business, like what are people gonna think? But kind of rolled with it, like
I always think like mafia.
the gangster that I
Right.
am. Like obviously that's the move I'm gonna make next.
Duh.
And they just really sold me on the company. It's a great company. We have been around since almost 100 years in
Wow.
Australia.
Got it.
And they're just getting their United States markets going. So we've got one in Florida. That was our first market in Orlando. And then we've got San Antonio, Austin, Houston is our newest. And I'm
Okay.
sure we will be branching out soon.
So who's the main client? Are we talking about capitalizing on residential, commercial? Are we going after businesses, homeowners? Like, what does all that look like?
So currently in our market in Austin, we are mostly going with commercial front load dumpsters. We're looking for the weekly pickups, outside of a shopping mall or anyone that's got a dumpster in their back back of their
Gotcha.
property.
Okay.
But we can definitely do residential. We can't do the small bins, but if they've got a plot of land out in Dripping Springs that's got 30 acres and multiple family members and they need something more than just the small little bins, we are definitely getting a lot of business that way.
Is there a difference that you guys do as far as like, because if I'm hearing you correctly, the commercial stuff sounds like trash.
Yes.
And then what about like construction debris?
So we do not, in our market, do the roll-off business. It's something that we probably will do here shortly.
Is that what they call it, the roll-off business?
It's roll-off. So it's those huge dumpsters, like when
Yeah.
they're demoing a large construction site, and
Right.
they need a lot more than a 2, 4, 6, or 8 yard bin. So it's something that we're definitely looking into. Our Florida market does it. We definitely do it in Australia. We haven't done it in this market yet. We're just kind of getting started with the commercial weekly service pickups right now.
I see. So when you're going after clients right now, I mean, what's the day-to-day look like? Because as I mentioned before we got on here, but I'll bring it up again, this podcast has turned into something that started off as real estate, but then became very entrepreneurial, right? And so with you just getting started with, JJ's, who's the ideal client? Like, what do you find yourself doing from the day-to-day as far as generating new business?
So my territory that I'm focused mostly on is in San Marcos,
Okay.
Dripping Springs. I've got a lot of Hayes County. I've got a small part of South Austin, but really we service the whole area. But what I do is I walk into about 20 businesses a day in
Gotcha.
whatever territory I've mapped out for the day and go in and try to talk trash with them.
I like
If
that.
there's a trash pun, I'm going to use it.
Got it.
But you got to get through the gatekeeper, get to the business owner. It could be a property manager that handles it. It could be someone's cousin that lives out of state, but just trying to find the person that makes the decision and sell them on how we do it differently. And it's definitely a long game process usually because most businesses already have a service with someone else. So it's just a matter of building the relationship and then when their contract does expire with whoever they currently have, just to be the person they call when they think of trash.
Yeah, so obviously trash, and forgive me because I don't know much about
Yeah.
your business, but what seems to be, I would envision, is it just all about cost? Is there what else is associated with it when you're talking to some of the people who are maybe using competitor services? What's the value add there?
Okay, I'm glad you asked that. So some people do care about the rock bottom dollar price. For
Okay.
us, the biggest thing is we're a small family-owned company, even though we're very large, and we want to build the long-term relationships. We can get your price down to what you need it to be, and the value is a lot of times people's trash with other companies, like they get missed. And if it's a taxidermist and triple digit
Yeah, I
heat,
could
like
see that.
they need that to, and if it gets missed, they call an 800 number or they can't get someone on the phone. And with us, you've got a local rep, call Joi anytime that there's an issue. And hopefully we don't have issues often, but we're all human. Mistakes happen, a truck breaks down,
Right.
things like that. So just life stuff. And we are there to resolve it.
How do you find that most people find, you know, basically you guys, if you're, you're actively going into businesses, and I get that, kind of planting those seeds, waiting for the renewal and everything like that, because if I'm picking up what you're putting down, it sounds like the majority of these contracts are what, annually or?
No. So most of them are 3 to 5 years.
Wow.
And some of the competitors out there, they will automatically roll you over for another term. And a lot of people they don't want to think about it. No one wants to think about trash. I totally get it. But
Yeah.
if they're putting you in a contract with rates that you don't agree with, and you don't have anyone to call and argue those with, and they automatically roll you over. I mean, I've seen some crazy things out there. So we try to make it just easy and straightforward and transparent, and you can always get a hold of your rep.
Now, I would envision that if you're going into businesses, that 99% of the time, the business owner is going to say, I don't have anything to do with the trash. It's the actual building owner. Is that right?
It definitely happens a lot. So it depends
Okay.
on what area of town you're in, and everyone does it so differently. There's a strip center in San Marcos, and there's probably 35 businesses in this location. And you go behind the building, and they've got, 4 different companies. So each one of those places makes their own decision. Whereas another strip center, the property manager will handle all of it, and they'll just put it into their rent. I personally, if I was a business owner, would want to have a say.
Yeah.
And a lot of these, so sometimes the people don't, sometimes they do. So it's just a matter of getting to the person, finding out who it is.
Do you ever run into situations where the people act as if they don't have any say, but then you know that in that particular building that they do?
100%.
I feel like that would be a really good lead
They
source,
don't want to
right?
talk to me, even though I'm so pleasant. They don't want to talk about it. They got other things. They're a
Yeah.
small business owner. I totally get it. But I guess persistence is key. If you do it in the right way, you read the room. I'm working on a storage facility that has 2 locations, and they swore it was a corporate decision. And just going in because I'm prospecting in that area, and saying, hey, and even though you're not the decision maker, kind of like calmed them down. And sure enough, corporate did reach out to me and
Nice.
started asking for information. So I'm hoping to close those 2 locations very soon.
Do you find that there's a particular type of business that, so as an example, one of the things that I've always done in any kind of, sales, because at the end of the day, you're kind of doing sales, right?
100%.
If you can find someone that knows the decision maker or is going to refer you to the decision maker, it's a lot easier than just tracking that down or even going directly to the individual themselves. Is there a type of business that seems to be a good lead generator for you?
Every situation does seem to be so different.
Yeah.
I have started, because I'm pretty new to the industry, anywhere that I can talk trash, I try to.
Yeah.
Whether I update on LinkedIn, I've got clients from a previous sales life who are reaching out to me because they know that I'm going to get stuff handled and get
Yeah.
it done and take care of people. And so wherever I can reach out and talk about it or educate people because they don't know, it's a good idea because sometimes people have no idea what they're paying. Sometimes they don't know what the competitors are doing because they've got bigger things to worry about.
What about commercial real estate agents?
So commercial real estate agents for sure is great. Property managers that have multiple locations. Commercial real estate, if they know, even GCs that once they're finished the building a facility and they know the owners or they're not sure, but this guy seems to know a lot that's going on with the project. I mean, I can find the information myself typically. Any information is good information for me to work with.
Because one of the things I'm thinking, just kind of putting myself in your shoes as a salesperson, is I'm like, okay, I know in my business the best time to refer any vendor that is involved in a real estate transaction is right when things are kind of changing hands, right? Because now the new buyer needs insurance, they might need a landscaper, they might need a contractor, electrician, so on and so forth.
For sure.
So I'm thinking like commercial real estate agents got to be huge for you, because if somebody's buying a new commercial property, one of the things that they're going to be hesitant about is like, well, what's the overhead cost that's associated with this? And to your point, like maybe they could just say, well, all of the people in the unit need to figure out what they're going to do as far as their trash is concerned. But I would envision that most property managers probably want to be able to, have someone or even price out what that's going to look like. I feel like that would be a really good fit, would be a commercial real estate agent. I'm just trying to think like you.
For sure. That would be super great because our biggest obstacle typically is everyone's already under contract. So to be able to get in, at least throw your hat in the rink first, and be their first provider, and last if it's with us because we're going to do a great job.
Of course.
That's a huge win for us. So for sure, commercial real estate would be great.
How do we
do you
get
know
you
anybody?
in front of more commercial real estate? I do, and I'm thinking of some people that I could probably connect you with. And then I'm also thinking about some of these, I don't go to these. I don't do commercial real estate anymore. I did about 10 years ago, but there's a lot of meetups for commercial real estate and everything along those lines. And I could totally see you guys being a sponsor, and that could be something that could be really good, I would think.
It would be great, and we would love to,
Well, because they can also get you in touch with the property managers as well.
Exactly. And we would love that. We should talk after this.
Yeah, that sounds like a no-brainer. So what else do, the business, we've kind of covered that it's really commercial. It's for, businesses. And you mentioned that there was a possibility of expanding, but for right now, that's really all that it is. I mean, we're not going to do the commercial, what was it, roll-offs?
The roll-off, so the huge bins that are like the size of, a
like
U-Haul
15 yards
trailer
and
or
stuff,
something. We don't do that right now, but we're definitely in the process of looking into it because getting in with commercial real estate agents, of course, a lot of people are doing demo projects or things like that. So it is something that I have been asked in my time here at JJ. So
and then nothing residential, right? So
we can do residential. So we don't do like the small, like the bins that you roll out outside of your house, on your Monday night pickups or whatever.
No, yeah, I get that.
So we don't do those small ones, but we can do if they have like a plot of land or HOA will allow a dumpster on their, property. We can service those.
I got you. So as an example, my neighbor had his kitchen redone. And the general contractor, they probably had like maybe a 5 or 8 yard dumpster that was put in front of the house so they could gut the kitchen. That is not something you're doing.
So there are things that you cannot throw in our bins
Gotcha.
because of the technology. These trucks are very fancy. Like I had no idea the
Tell me about
technology. So I'm still learning. I just went on to a truck for the first time, and those guys work. They work, and it's a tough job. And I have the utmost respect for the garbage truck drivers because it is no joke.
Okay.
But a lot of this stuff, so after a truck driver picks up all of the runs on the route for that day, they have to go to the dump once or twice a day, depending on what route they're on.
Mm-hmm.
And just like if you've ever gone to the dump and there are
I
certain
have.
things, they're like, a mattress, that's going to cost $55 or
Right.
whatever it is. Like there are some no-nos that you cannot throw in our containers. Certain things like pallets.
Okay.
We'll take pieces of wood, but we don't want a bunch of nails or metal in it because when our truck picks up the dumpster and dumps it in, some stuff can get caught in the stuff, and it's bad news.
Definitely
So
don't want stuff caught in the stuff.
yes. So
get
we
it.
have a list of no-nos.
Okay.
You know, we can't take huge tires. You know, we can take
Sure.
them, you cut them into fours or along the sidewall, but there are certain things that we have to be careful. We're not going to take mattresses, things like that, because we get charged that $55 as well. And honestly, no one wants to take the mattresses.
No one wants the mattresses, huh? That's interesting. I wonder what, I never thought about that. Where do mattresses go when they die?
I don't know, but they charge a lot for whoever brings it in. They do not. Whoever brings it in, they're charging you that rate. So
I see.
we don't want any part of that.
So is restaurants a big part of this?
Yes, for sure. Restaurants, apartment complexes, any commercial business. I mean, the good news about the trash industry, like we can work with just about anyone, which is awesome. And we connect people and we go into every kind of business. So one of the reasons I think like that OG mafia stuff, like you were saying, it's because we do talk to so many people and so many different businesses every day.
Yeah. Do you, so again, we know the success has been in Australia. We're in new markets right now. What was, you know, what has been successful, I guess, prior to you being on? I mean, you're doing business development, you're talking to businesses, you're doing all the things. What else has worked for JJ's in terms of getting new clients? Or is it really just word of mouth?
I mean, honestly, we haven't done a ton of marketing in Australia, New Zealand. Like everyone knows of us. We are so well branded there. The color of our trucks, like we manufacture our own trucks there. Like we're a huge part of that area, and everyone knows us here. Because we haven't done a ton, it really has been, I would say, the people. It's always the people that make the difference, I feel like. And, you know, not that sometimes you hire a person and not that they're a bad person, but it just doesn't fit with the company and what they're all about. And so I think anytime you're in the growth phase, sometimes it happens. You don't have the right people, and then you kind of have to take a couple steps back and get the right team in place. So I think we've gotten to the point in our market specifically where we've got the team that is in it to win it. So we're just ready to grow our business for sure and show people how it's done the right way.
I like that.
Not everybody is a JJ's customer, you know?
Who isn't a JJ's customer?
I mean, different people will say different things on this. I like to have a relationship with the person. There are some people that are rock bottom dollar prices, but the people that I would say isn't a JJ's customer are the ones that don't pay their bills
Right.
and hop from company to company. Like we feel confident in our ability and our service. And so we know that we're going to show them that we are the best. And a lot of people, I think, have been burned in the past. And that's always hard to sign an agreement that's 3 to 5 years. But
Yeah,
our
it's a long
biggest
time.
thing is, you know, we do things the right way. And if you've got a problem with anything, like we're also a company that we want to grow our business. We want to be profitable.
Sure. Profit is not a dirty word.
But you can do it the right way. And sometimes people get feed to death, you know, and there are things that people don't even understand. Like, why am I getting charged for an environmental fee when and why does it change every month? And we don't have any fees at JJ's. So it's your monthly rate. It's your monthly rate plus tax. And we try to keep it simple, stupid, you know?
Right. No, I get it.
It shouldn't be complicated. And if you have any issues, we do have price increases annually, but they're reasonable. And if anyone has a problem, call me and we'll talk about it. And
Yeah.
if it's something that doesn't make sense and you have a good reason, like we're here to build long-term relationships, and screwing people over is not the way to do that.
Right. Well, speaking of relationships, is there any particular sort of business that you feel that has been, for lack of a better term, just easier for you to connect with?
Honestly, for me, there hasn't. I mentioned a taxidermist because
Yeah.
there's a place off 290 called Big Rack Taxidermy. And I
Okay.
was like, I wonder what that's all about. In a million years, I've never been inside a taxidermy store. It's super interesting.
Oh, yeah.
And I never thought I'd get along so well with the big guy that's got the apron and blood all over. But I haven't won him over just yet, but we're in the process. He's under contract. Storage facility, I think it's just about the person in front of you and building
Okay.
that relationship. I would love to work with commercial real estate agents more, but like any good relationship, it takes time. And I've been here about 6 months, so I'm learning the industry. I'm learning, my territory a little bit more. And just going from one part of Austin to San Marcos, like people live a different life.
Oh, yeah.
And their pace of life is different, So it's just really getting to know that person in front of you. And for me, it doesn't really matter what business. It's just connecting.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
So doing all the learning and everything, what are some of the things that, you kind of found out while learning about waste and trash that that might be interesting to other people that you didn't know?
Well, the thing about the mattresses,
Mattresses, that was a good one. That was a good one.
like I just had no idea. I guess the contract, like I just had no idea how much goes into it, how hard the trash truck drivers work.
Yeah, you mentioned that. What can you describe a little bit of that to me?
So we've got some of the best in the business. We've got our drivers that have been in the industry for many, many years, a lot of experience, and very customer focused. So they also want to do the right thing, which sounds silly when they're in the trash truck, but you've got people that build a business. I've got a client in Dripping Springs called Patriots Hall, and they work with veterans and active duty military, and they help
Okay.
give them resources for different things, like navigating the VA, because that's very confusing. And, as a civilian, like getting back into society, and tools that are very important to our community and to our people. And they had started looking for trash companies, and they couldn't even get someone on the phone to answer their questions, and they've built this amazing property on 10 acres at a beautiful hill country spot in Dripping Springs. And they want someone that cares and that will be careful when they're coming into this property that they've like put their heart and soul into. And so she's a perfect JJ's customer for me, because she called me and I was like, oh my gosh, you're the customer I'm looking for, because you do care that we care. But as far as the truck drivers, like just being courteous when you go into an apartment complex and they've got, sometimes the trash bins are behind what they call an enclosure.
Yeah.
I don't know, being gentle with their stuff, being courteous of others, like a little wave to a person that's walking around the site,
Right.
little things like that. Just the human touch, I would say.
Not being the angry garbage man.
Yeah, apparently those are out there,
Yeah.
but we don't want them working for JJ. So we've built a really solid team, from our sales to our operations to our administrative team. Like we just have people that really do care. And our company motto is, when in doubt, do the right thing. And I just like that. Like people deserve to be treated right.
Are you originally from this area?
So I was born in Austin and raised mostly in Dripping Springs.
Okay.
Yeah,
So you're one of the outliers.
I'm a local.
That's cool.
Yeah. Doesn't happen very often.
No, it doesn't. So I would envision that you've seen a lot of change in this area over the last 10 to 15 years.
I was born in the 70s, man. Yeah. It's changed a ton. But, advantages, disadvantages. I know there are plenty of people that, back in the good old days,
Yeah.
I remember when, but, with growth comes change, and I try to just accept it, I guess, because it's here. And I don't know, greet it with open arms, like make the best of it, I guess.
Sure.
But yeah.
So what's the what's the next big thing that comes for JJ's with you? I mean, again, you've been doing it for 6 months, trying to get your feet wet, trying to get your name out there, which, obviously kudos to you for coming on. I know you were a little bit nervous to do all of this. And
Yes.
This will be good this will be good. I promise it'll help you out, get some additional, just exposure and everything like that. But I mean, what do you see big picture wise with yourself and this company?
I mean, I really do love this company. I love everything about it. Actually, I was sold from the minute I met the Australian that
What's his
hired
name?
me. His name is Jason Doig, but everyone calls him JD.
Got it.
He's in our Houston market, so he had started Austin, and then, they brought him over from the motherland in Australia to do this. He's a super neat guy. We also have a Daryl Corbett who started in Florida. That was our first United States market.
Okay.
And he knows the JJ's family. And they're just
So what would those guys say their key to success is in respect to getting new business?
I think it's all about just being in your territory, knocking on the doors. I mean, it's the stuff that not everybody's comfortable doing. Hey, can we talk about your trash bin out in back?
Right.
Like sometimes people don't want to hear it. So it's just, I guess, finding out how to make it your own and run with it. Like it's our business, and so I'm proud of it. You need trash. Like, why can't I be your trash lady?
Right.
I'm going to do a great job.
Well, conviction when you're selling is probably the most important thing. We talk about that a lot here on the podcast.
Yeah.
And I would also envision that if you're doing right by, a few business owners, they probably know other business owners that they can kind of say, hey, you should have a sit down with my girl here and talk a little bit about how they might be able to save, or better yet, maybe just give better service. Because to your taxidermy point, I can totally see, food service as well. I mean, if those containers pile up and with triple digit temperatures, it can get pretty nasty.
Seafood joints,
Right.
like that, it can be rough. So we gotta try and keep them straight for sure.
Yeah.
But I would say that. Sorry, I'm jumping around, but the next
You're
big
fine.
thing, like I really just want to grow my business. I want to get in front of as many people as possible. And we're doing a campaign right now where we're sending out thousands of flyers. And
Okay.
I made some friends and some enemies at several post offices.
Oh.
In a line of holiday people with 4 boxes of individual mail pieces, but I brought everyone Starbucks gift cards, so they wanted to not like me, but I won them over by the end
This
of
is
the
at the
exercise.
post office?
Yes. Can you imagine holidays? And so
You got to
I
get in
didn't
touch
know
with
either.
a printing company that does like mass media print, because there's price breaks on the postage for that.
So we're learning as we go.
Yeah.
I went to, it was Kyle, Texas on Friday morning in the rain with about 30 other people that also wanted to get their packages out to their family in time for the holidays. And I was like, I have 4 boxes. And they called me up and I was like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I felt, but that was the way that they decided to do it. So I wanted to run with it, and we're getting calls on it. So that's super exciting
Yeah,
for
I'll
us.
connect you with a printing company that does
Please.
a lot of that stuff, because we do that stuff for real estate agents that want to, they want to farm a specific zip code and things like that. And if you're doing mass media print, like I said, you get a discount on the postage, and then it ships. I'll be honest, I'm kind of not 100% sure how they do it, but I know I've never stood in line. We've sent out thousands and thousands of postcards, and I've never sat in line at a post office.
So, and I didn't do the whole thing by myself. My boss did most of the work, and I just wanted to help because it's my territory and I own it. But so it was like you had to pick out the zip codes and you had to bundle them by 100, and you decided how many went to a certain zip code, the certain routes. Like it was pretty intricate.
Did you? You had these professionally printed, right? Or
We
you
did
guys...
have them
Okay, I'm
not
surprised they
handed.
didn't offer to do that.
So maybe there's ways. I think if we do this again, it will be done that way, because
Yeah,
I
it'll save you
felt
money and time
terrible.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, it was an adventure, and it worked out in the end, but I would like to do it differently next time if anyone's listening.
Is there any business that you have kind of talked to that doesn't, that, how do I say this? Is there someone that, you mentioned the smaller bins like residential trash. I mean, you're not going to pick something like that up. So is there a business that seems to not really fit the mold as far as amount of trash? Like, is that ever an objection you get? You come into a business, you're like, hey, I want to talk about your trash. And they're like, we don't really have any trash.
So there are places, I wouldn't say a certain type necessarily, but there are definitely places even in, the city of San Marcos or Dripping Springs, like whatever their business is, they only use one of the residential size cans. And honestly, you just don't know until you talk to them.
Right.
Certain places, you can go behind the building and see whose is whose. But sometimes if they're in a cluster or something, you just don't know until you go in and talk to them. So
Gotcha.
lots of first conversations.
So I like the mass media marketing. Again, we kind of do an entrepreneurial side of this. So that was an idea, and I'd love to hear about that later and see how well it did or didn't work. Are there any other?
Us too.
Yeah. Are there any other ideas that y'all have in respect to generating new business outside of doing the mass mail and, swinging doors?
I mean, I am learning as I go for sure. Our market it's not super new. We've been here for a couple of years, but again, I think we didn't have the right team in place.
Okay.
For me, I want to go to as many events. I mean, like you said, sponsorships. I mean, that's something that we're definitely looking into.
Yeah, like I said, I don't join these any longer, but I know that there are a lot of events that are done specifically for commercial real estate agents, and those events cost money, and they typically are looking for sponsors. I mean, in my mind, that's the first kind of thing where my head goes, and then any way that you could, get in front of, I guess, just business owners in general may be a good thing. I got to think more about it. But yeah, I mean.
So right now it's the door knocking.
Right.
And that's for me, like, I want to throw my net to as many places and and just see what works, and that's why we're doing the mailers. And I think there's certain areas that you can find that they're really unhappy with their current provider. So if you find that pocket of unhappiness,
Yep.
and then work around there. That's kind of what I'm trying to do.
That is a good strategy. So if you find a client who's working with a company in an area that's not doing well, and then you can say, like, who else has got this provider? You can just go after all of those people and say, hey, I'm here because so-and-so at ABC Business told me that they weren't happy with this company. I see you're working with them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I've made it my business to know my competitors and how they do things, and everyone's agreement is different. And there are some that they are not going to let you out of a contract no matter what. Like, you could have a horrible situation story and you're not getting out of that. And that's not the way that we want to run our business. So that is a huge thing. So really just knowing how other people operate and not bashing anyone, but just helping find that pain point.
Have you ever offered to buy someone out of their contract? Is that an option?
So I think that's only worth it in certain situations, of
Sure.
course. I personally have not encountered anything that would make it worthwhile to do that. I think if it was a large customer and they were getting treated really badly and they were paying, we found customers that we can save them $1,000 a month, and they just had no idea. They
Right.
thought this was their only option. So helping educate them for sure. So it is something that we have done before. I have not done that myself.
I gotcha. What's your craziest trash story that you've got so far? Taxidermy was kind of cool.
The big rack taxidermy. I was
Right.
like, well, I got to go there. That was a crazy one. We do have a seafood customer. And again, I think that's the horror stories is the triple digits and the seafood did not mix.
No, never does.
To be continued on the craziest trash story. I have not seen anything too crazy just yet, but I am finding new stuff every day.
I gotcha. And so you've kind of expressed that you enjoy this company, you like who you're working with outside of, just doing good work and the obvious stuff. Is there anything else specifically that really, makes you enjoy working with this company?
Honestly, have you ever met an Australian?
I have. Yeah, the answer is yes.
They're a cool group of people. Like, I don't know why I fit so well in the trash game, but just what they're all about, how they treat their people on the inside, how they treat their people, their customers. Like, I feel like during COVID, a lot of people lost that human touch. A lot of people,
For sure.
It did me dirty personally. Like, I had some bad stuff go down during COVID and it was out of my control. And, you go to working remote all the time and, that's really great for some people. For some people, it is not great.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's the only communication you have with the outside world, so finding a group of people that, honestly, like, they want to do the right thing. They want to build their relationships. They treat their employees well. I like to be respected and, I'm going to work really hard. So treat me good.
Right.
I don't know.
No, I get it. So to recap, we're obviously doing the door to door. We're doing the mass media marketing, and we got to connect you with somebody who the next time you do that, we got to make sure that we're getting that discount on postage and everything. So
Yes.
I'll be able to give you a name and a phone number of somebody that I know specifically who's done very well for us. But,
Okay.
Someone will watch this and they'll probably end up reaching out to you. Are you guys doing anything online? Is that a place that you feel people look?
So we're in the process of starting some marketing. We've never really done it because we are so well known in the area that we've been at for almost 100 years. But since it's been hard for people to find us locally, so we're just starting to do some stuff and get reviews. I don't know, focus on the social media and the marketing and show them behind the scenes stuff. I think it's important for people to feel some sort of connection, I guess. This podcast, I'm hoping.
Yeah. Well, and again, going back to kind of the real estate thing, I mean, one of the things that, maybe can come of this is like getting in front of or getting involved in who's putting on events that are, catering to people in the commercial space,
Yeah.
right? Whether that's commercial insurance, commercial real estate, even anything that's entrepreneurial in regards to people who are looking to start a business. Again, this isn't something that I do specifically, but I just know how I've seen, I know how I've marketed my business and I know how other people I have these conversations with people on a regular basis where I think I find it extremely interesting. I've yet to meet somebody who is working for a company that is so new yet has been around for 100 years in another market because it's an interesting dynamic to me because most of the time you're dealing with one or the other, right? You have someone who just started working for a company or is working with the company that they're like, yeah, I signed on. This is who I work for. And everyone's like, oh, we've known them. They've been around forever. Or it's a brand new company. We got to get out there, which is kind of what you're doing, but it's a company that has been around forever. And that's why I would love to how does one in the waste space start from nothing? And I obviously would, it's the word of mouth and getting everything out there, but there's got to be people that we could get you in front of that is going to be able to introduce you to the right people
Yeah.
to expedite everything. And I'm at a loss, but then again, I'm not in your space, right?
I'm trying to do the basics right now, do the activity because in sales, as you know, like it's the activity that you're doing
Yeah.
and being in your space and meeting the people. And for me, any good or service that I need in my life, I try to go to someone in my territory that I'd also like to get your trash business, please, sir
Right.
or madam.
Were you in sales before this?
I have been in sales before. After COVID, I got out of it for a little while.
Okay.
But when you're selling the right thing and you believe in it, I think it's much easier to do.
Is there anything that, translates from what you were doing sales related to this position now, or is it completely different?
Very different.
Okay.
I've done a lot of jobs in my old age. I did sell new homes, but for a builder, for a very large builder, so you didn't even have to have your real estate license. And a
Okay.
lot of times, those people were coming to me, to my community, and I could show them the model home I was in. So it's very different. So no, I wouldn't say I have anything just that everyone needs trash.
Yeah. So what made you feel confident about getting outside of your comfort zone and going business to business? Because again, going back to, being a builder rep, you're dealing with consumers,
Yeah.
where now you're kind of dealing with business people. What was that transition like?
It's been a transition for sure. Cold calling, knocking on doors, I feel like I did that in my 20s. I
Okay.
put my time in, so doing it again, it's been tough, sometimes you really have to, some people are not nice. And you're
Right.
like, I'm just trying to do my job, but just kind of letting that go and going to the next place. Because some people, don't want to work with me or
Sure.
any woman, or there's always people. So just kind of letting that go and going to the next door, because guess what? The next door, I really connect with that person and we'll get their business and they'll know someone. So it's really, it's been an adventure so far the last 6 months.
Is that one of the things as far as like a sales maybe script or strategy that has worked for you, is like a who do you know type of thing, where like, hey, we just met with so-and-so, like you had a really good conversation with a business owner that was like super close, and then you're like, hey, I just met with Bob at the Big Rack Taxidermy,
Exactly.
and we had a great conversation, and
I name drop anytime I can,
Okay.
especially in the underdeveloped areas, which we have sold in Austin before, but we haven't been out in San Marcos. We haven't been out in Dripping Springs. So anytime I can get a sale out there, I name drop because I know we're going to do a good job, and I know I'm going to build a good relationship with that person. And you can call them if you'd like,
Right. Well, that's always a good one. I mean, when you're able to say that and say, look, they work with us. We've had we have a great working relationship. If you can put that out there, and the person that you're trying to, get to work with you knows them or has even heard of them,
100%.
it's a good look.
It helps for sure because we haven't done a lot of marketing and stuff, like who?
Right.
We get that a lot. And a lot of people have been burned, unfortunately, from other companies, and trying to get them to believe me. We're
Right.
not going to do that.
So you got outside your comfort zone and came on a podcast. You've been outside your comfort zone and swinging doors with business owners and everything along those lines.
Look at me.
Well, so I've got to ask,
Okay.
because so my space, I'm dealing a lot with real estate agents.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that we talk about a lot on this podcast is how real estate agents, a lot of them don't necessarily recognize that they're salespeople, right? They know, but they don't. But in their mind, it's not like what you're doing,
Yeah.
right? And real estate agents act as if getting out of their comfort zone is very, very difficult. So whether that's working on a sales pitch or cold calling a client, or maybe it's a client that they already work with, but there's an uncomfortable situation that needs to be handled. How have you really come to grips or gotten better at being outside of your comfort zone so well?
I will be honest, it is still a work in progress.
You just go for it?
There are times that I feel very beat down, but it seems like at those times, picking yourself back up and being like, you know what? Keep it simple, stupid. I know that guy was mean to you next door, but let's go next door and make a friend, make a connection, whatever. It is a process. Our sales cycle, they're already under contract typically. So it's the long game.
Yeah.
And being patient.
So what drives you? I mean, again, I'm dealing with salespeople all the time that I can barely get them to pick up the phone, let alone do what you're doing. So
I think that JJ's lets us run it as our own business. And, even though I work for JJ's, like I'm building these relationships and I can feel good that we are going to provide a good service and people are going to see that we are different than the other guys. But it's still a work in progress. I still have days for sure. And I would love to get more referrals and things
Sure.
to where I could cold call maybe a little bit less each day.
Yeah. So it's really just the affirmations of knowing that, you have a good product and your heart's in the right place. I mean, just kind of coaching yourself out of those down times.
Basically,
But what coaches you into, like, so we know now that if you have like a bad call or someone's mean or whatever, you've kind of explained how you get past that. But how do you motivate yourself to get started?
I mean, I guess the sales I have made, because again, I've only been here about 6 months, and it took time just to get that first sale, But finally getting some sales and seeing some results and seeing happy customers and getting someone to write a good review about their experience, and just knowing that if you're going to choose a trash service, choose us because we're the best.
Do you have a goal in mind as far as like a timeline? And you can say no, but have you thought about this where how long do you think it's going to take until you're really just crushing it in your particular market?
I mean, they've told me that it's typically about a year, like
Okay.
be patient, but with all these flyers and everything. But quite frankly, like I want to take over this whole place,
Sure.
Like
No, I
I
like
want
it.
to be the best trash lady I can be. I
like
want to
that.
make a lot of money, of course,
Yeah.
but you can do it the right way, I feel like.
Yes.
And again, we do want to be profitable. Like any business does,
course.
but we want to do it the right way and put our head on our pillow at night and feel like, I'm doing it. Gosh darn it, I'm doing a good job.
I get that. I get that. Well, what else do we need to know? What do you think? Believe it or not, we're coming up on an hour. Can you
That's
believe
odd.
it?
I can't believe it.
Yeah.
It flew by. This was awesome. Thank you so much.
Of course. Of course.
Can I give my number in case
100%.
my
What I
work
tell
number?
everybody is that once you're wrapped up, I will, you ask me, am I supposed to look at you? I'm like, you can look wherever you want.
Like, I don't want to make it weird.
But the last part of the podcast, I typically tell everyone to take a look into the camera, give us your name, your business name, who you are, and anything that anyone needs to know.
All right. Well, I am Joi Johnson with JJ's Waste and Recycling. No relation. But my cell number for work is 737-315-7523. And I'd love to be your trash lady.
Look at that. Fantastic. And more importantly, watching someone come outside their comfort zone and come on
This
a
was
podcast.
huge for me.
Was it as bad as you thought it was going to
No,
be?
it was great. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Well, it was a
was
pleasure
awesome.
having you.
Thank you.
We'll make sure we get this out shortly. We'll get a bunch of clips and everything like that. And we got to boost up that social media content. You'd be
Yes.
surprised how many people are on there, business owners just swiping away, right?
Yes, we are working on that. Thank you so much.
Of course. Well, thanks again.
All right.